We are live, Newcastle, semi-state, talking with the geniuses in the Indy area. First, we have our awesome Newcastle rankings guy, Howard Cotty. He's coming from the south side. Then we also have Coach Pendowski from the north side. He's going to offer some words of wisdom and tell us some inside information. I'm sure all the secrets of all the guys that are in the brackets, mother's maiden names, favorite colors, all that kind of stuff. He knows everything around the Indy area. And then you have our chief reporter out of the Indy area, Cameron Drury. He's out hiding in the woods right now.
Mobile office.
Yeah, the mobile office. So he'll be offering some great insight. He's been able to get out to some meets this year. Was at Pendleton Heights this last week. Got to see firsthand how good Cathedral was. First off, Coach Pendowski, what's the words of wisdom? What's the words that you're telling your guys this week? A big week. This is what the week that everyone's training for. What are you telling your guys this week when you have I think it was 10 guys from Carmel?
Yeah, the phrase. I have to say it quietly when I'm at home, but it's the most wonderful time of the year. With Christmas ending, just over a month ago, and Valentine's Day next week, I have 4 daughters and a wife, so I gotta, pick and choose where I just say is the most wonderful time of the year. No, things are good. This is a really good time to have athletes and to start to break other people down and start to put things together. It's just a lot of fun as a coach, and it's a lot of fun for the kids and the guys who keep wrestling through this time of year. I mean, it's exciting.
Yep, that's good. I know we have a good room of a lot of kids, and not just our guys that are qualified that are in the room working hard. I think that freshman sophomore states kept a few kids out, but I know we have it's kids that want to get better, and it's always nice to see some of those guys still putting time in. Someone's going nuts. We're gonna go through the brackets, get you guys break down on where the big matches are. A lot of great weights here at Newcastle. Definitely one of the tougher semi-states. You get the draws, the good ones, the ones you cringe at. But we'll start at 106. Pretty good weight class. Everyone has lost to about everyone else, so it's hard to really gauge. Regional champs Mattingly from Carmel has some good wins, has a couple losses. Braden Lowry from Perry Meridian. I think we have pretty much everyone represented here. Andrew Black, whose only losses to Mattingly. And then you have Logan Bailey, probably the big ticket round match, Logan Bailey and Seth Johnson. Johnson just suffered his first loss last week. Bailey has 3 losses. We'll start with Cameron on this one. Any comments on this weight? Any predictions?
I think this may be, at least numerically, the toughest weight class. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the state. And like you said, Johnson and Bailey likely meeting up in that ticket round. That's tough. And, Bailey, to me, he's peaking. He looked really, really tough last weekend. Johnson was here last year at semi-state. Obviously has a good record, but I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I might lean towards Bailey, but it's kind of a pick 'em. And I think Shenandoah has a very good chance to get one through. I think Mattingly and Lowry could be one of the matches of the day also. But I would look for Mattingly, Bailey, Lowry, and Black to advance, because I think Bailey's going to upset Johnson.
Yeah, you also have lurking in there just was Gabe Smith, Al Smith champ. Him and Lowry ticket round match. That's going to be a pretty good match to watch. I know Gabe Smith can wrestle. He's pretty tough.
Yeah, I think Bailey majored him last weekend.
Oh, wow. It's pretty impressive. Ed, any comments on this weight? Anything? I know you've seen at least you've seen quite a few of these guys personally.
We've wrestled them all but Bailey. And, I think who goes into this one throughout the course of the tournament, especially you look at the youth of them all with Lowry, Mattingly, Black's a sophomore, Bailey's a freshman, Johnson's a sophomore. Smith, and I mean, you go through there, it's you run into a whole bunch of stuff with the babies, and who's going to manage weight? Who's going to manage if they get taken down? Who's going to pout? Who's going to cry? I know coming through this semi-state, advancing isn't the big deal. It's putting yourself in a position to compete the next week, and those are things that we've talked about with our guy. Of handle the highs and lows of a tournament. You go with a bunch of freshmen, and this isn't the Pure Meridian folk style championships, which, don't get me wrong, Cotty, is an important tournament. But you start to put these young kids in front of big gyms. Whenever you do that, you're going to find out, what comes into now mind. It's body, it's technique, but then what's going to happen with a mindset when something bad goes wrong throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on those kids. I mean, this is their first time in the big stage. I'm sure most of those young guys have wrestled all throughout the state and country. So, it's still different atmosphere when it's it's one match is basically going to define your season, whether it's good or bad.
And some kids thrive on that and some crumble.
Yep.
Still 14-year-olds in there, and now you never know what's going to happen.
Yep. Their girlfriend breaks up with them on Wednesday, and they it can get in a tizzy real quick. Howie, what's your take on this weight?
Got Madeline coming out on top. In the top there, top bracket. I got wrestled Gabe Smith. Gabe Smith is tough, but he's wrestled him twice. I believe both times were majors. Probably make it out there, and Madeline beating him in the semis. I actually got Logan Johnson. That's a tough one. I mean, Johnson could end up winning the whole thing. But I got Bailey. I think Bailey's. I think he's hitting a high right now, and he's kind of rolling. I got him in black in the semis and winning it against Madeline. So those are my four.
Sounds good. I saw Bailey did lose to Lowry earlier in the season, so that's interesting. I mean, a lot of these guys have wrestled each other, so I mean, it's who's going to make those adjustments. Watch the film, find ways to minimize their strengths. Going to be a lot of putting that that's in the coaching and on the kid. How do you make those adjustments? Moving on up. 113. This is the one where the Perry Meridian Regional was a little decent, I'd guess, is how we call it. Unfortunately,
pretty good.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sam Fair is out, the knee injury. So they shifted the brackets a little bit, and we were just talking before we went on the air. Shifted, like Skylar Turner went where Fair would have been, and kind of got a little bit tougher draw, even though he moved to the second spot. Has a little bit tough. He has to go through two seniors to you have three seniors in that quarter bracket. That's going to be interesting. Looks like Cody Conway, who would have been, I guess, the second alternate, is the one that filled in. He's going to have Holman from Carmel. So pretty good weight class. I mean, a lot of people are saying that the four out of Perry Meridian are the favorites, which they look to be on paper. What do you think, Howie? We'll start with you here.
Yeah, I mean, I got even with the switcheroo there, guys moving around inside the bracket. I still got I got Rose making it to the semis. Turner beating Brady, although Turner's hadn't looked as crisp as he has the past few years. I think he had a knee injury. Maybe he's still reeling from it. I'm not sure, but I picked Turner. No Fair.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got Viduya. I actually got Conway. And then Viduya and Rose in the semis with Viduya winning it.
Yeah, looks like, I mean, everyone was saying for a while they had 5 or 6 guys out of that regional that were state level. And who's the one who lost to to Turner 4-8-7 by 1 point or something. Who was that?
Oh, Bowling. Bowling lost
Bowling.
7-6 to Turner.
Yeah. So I mean, that tells you how
That was
deep that
close.
regional was. I mean, he almost sent a senior 3-time state placer home. That's pretty
It
good.
was a good match too.
Yeah. I'm sure the crowd was getting into it. I mean, obviously they're going to root for the underdog a little bit, and probably, and especially if it's Warren Central, one of the evil empires of the Indy area. Coach Pendowski, what's your take? I know you guys got a regional champ here. Obviously, you knew you were going to draw into the Perry Regional somewhere. Getting the 4 is probably the best way to do it, but it's never going to be an easy task in that kind of regional.
I've got an ethics question.
Okay.
I went through the gauntlet of them all last night. And the biggest loser out of the rebracketing out of all this is Sammy Fair. That guy's been working his tail off, and has some appearances that he's in a good spot, and he's wrestling at a pretty high level right now. And so good for him, that he's wrestling at the level he's at, and then to have his season end the way he is, that's just catastrophic, and nobody wants to see that happen to anybody. But I went through the gauntlet of emotions last night, because is the alternate Robert Paulson? That's what we call Cody Conway.
Yeah.
Is he?
Is the alternate I think it was supposed to be the Pike kid. Is that who it was?
He was first.
Yeah. And I haven't heard exactly. I know I saw it on the board that someone said that they kind of declined so that Conway could get in there. I don't know what the whole. I mean, I don't know if the kid's hurt. Don't know. I mean, you guys might know more than I do.
I'll give you full disclosure on me. I went through about a half hour last night of, you got to be kidding me. If we go, okay, here it is, page 85 of the winter bulletin says, the alternate is the guy who loses to the champ, which is the Pike kid.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense to the Pike guy, Cody Conway's a hell of a lot better. But what does that do to the integrity of the tournament if we got two guys that sit there and go, you know what, this guy's supposed to be the alternate, but he's probably not the best choice. We're going to let this guy go.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We don't have a true.
What if we look at it at 170? If we fast forward and I go, you know what, Panola beat Webster, and at his draw, he's now got to wrestle Ruberg to get out. You know what? At 170, we're on the bottom. We've got to wrestle a guy that beat us. Why don't we just change? Because he's the best guy to get out.
Yeah.
No, and so I did that. I went through about a half hour last night of, but I can look at it and go, you know what? I'm just trying to sharpen a pencil to say that's good. What's best for Carmel only. And, what's good for the sport is Cody Conway, a.k.a. Robert Paulson, is a good dude. And he comes from a good family, and he busts his tail. And the chance that he gets to compete, that's awesome. And that's good for him. And so I jumped off of that I don't know if I jumped off it quickly, but I went, you know what? Good for him. He's got an opportunity to compete. And that's really what the sport's all about is, get in there and have a chance to go. And so, we're happy for him to get his chance to be in there and to do those things. And, now we're just let's go wrestle and see what happens. And so I was torn on that one quite a bit for a while. I think you get into a slippery slope if you start going, well, you know what, we've got an opportunity here. This is the best thing to do. We're not going to follow what the rule book says. We're going to do what we think is best. And so, you get off of that and you go, you know what, Cody Conway's a great guy. And he's been busting his tail for a long time. And the Beach Grove crew is getting better and those types of things. And so it's kind of good for him. And, at the end of the day, Sammy Fair is the biggest loser out of all of this. And if anybody wants to jump up and complain and throw a fit, you got to go, you got a guy getting his knee cut open Friday. And so, there's bigger problems than that.
Yeah. That's definitely one. I mean, I think we should. I know there's some talk about, we need to change how we choose our alternates, because I know we had a kid that fourth placer that got DQ'd, got flagranted, and then kid, automatically gets pulled back in, and, usually it's going to be a fourth place finisher from one of the regionals or sectionals. So, but yeah, there's going to be a 2 or a 3 that gets beat. That probably is a little bit better, and might have even a 3 that beat that kid, and that is now the alternate. So something maybe we should look at as the coaches association should look at, and have a pretty simple the highest placer from the previous step, that's number one. If they're tied, whoever lost to the highest, placer there, at the regional or sectional, whatever it was. So, I mean, I definitely either that, or we could just do that weird W thing, wrestlebacks, and have a true fifth. That way the kids kind of earn it. And I mean, that I think that'd be the best way, but at least if we're not going to do wrestlebacks, we got to have a little bit better way of.
That's a show I want to be a part of. Because there's a huge in the world that project past wrestling our sport. And I'm a much bigger fan of, I think the number one need to do is throw in wrestlebacks. I remember looking at Camden Eppert and Shutley from Perry when they both used to train with us out at CIA when they drew into each other. And I said, I would spend the rest of my career going, I'm not going to do anything else but talk about adding wrestlebacks at the semi-state tournament.
Yeah, definitely. And that would make, it just make it a lot easier on a lot of people, especially with the alternate thing. Back to the weight class, I guess. Any comments on this weight, Cameron?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd say Ed wouldn't be human if he didn't have that range of emotional responses, because obviously you care about your kid's draw, and then you can maybe put it in perspective and say Sammy, got the most unfair deal of all. But I think it's very understandable that you sort of have a lot of mixed feelings on it. And hopefully Fair comes back, better than ever. But yeah, I think we saw Rose. I saw Rose this year. I've seen Turner, obviously, many times. 3-time placer, chance to be 4-time placer. Those are very rare. So I wouldn't bet against him. Although Brady is big, strong, 113, looked real tough last weekend. Certainly capable of beating Turner, but it's just hard to bet against Turner based on his semi-state experience in the past. Viduya is the best 113 I've personally seen in person this year. Just pretty dominant. But I think Holman has a great chance to advance still. Although Caleb Oliver has a pretty so-so record. He's definitely wrestled better and better as the season's gone on, like some freshmen do. But I could see Holman easily, adding another Carmel Greyhound in the state final. So, but I think Viduya is class of the field, even though there's some close matches with Turner and Rose and obviously Farragon. But I think Viduya takes it.
Definitely should be a good weight class. I mean, you're looking at possibly a 4 out of a regional go through, which is pretty rare. I mean, that just tells how good that weight class is. And a lot of people before Fair was polled were predicting 4. So we'll move on. 120, pretty wide open weight class. Basically the best guy that, everyone's looking at. Lucas Walenzak. And then but bad thing is probably maybe 2 of the top guys, Sonny Neer in the ticket round there is kind of ugly. Carter Nori, I probably mispronounced that pretty well.
They say it's like Story, so it's Nori.
Nori, okay, that makes sense. He's had a pretty good kind of a breakout season, kind of quietly, had a pretty good season. Sometimes quietly, sometimes not, but only has a couple losses. So I'll let Ed take this weight class. I know he has some. He has yet another kid in his weight class. I think we only have a couple that don't, but so a lot of looks like everything got fairly well separated, minus the Neer and Walenzak match.
This one's now you're starting to get into some experience. Walenzak's won some matches. I know that butchered his name, and Cotty's about ready to butcher the Carmel kid's name. If you go through the bracket and if you look at experience, there's a bunch of guys that have been there before. You throw in the freshman and Freegee, and Green from Lebanon's wrestling well at this time of year. How those are going to turn out. You got a young guy versus a senior, and so what's going to happen when the chips are on the line. I think, as we go through this bracket a bunch, what we've done in our room is we put Coach Jeter in charge of some things, and he's really put some mindset stuff with some guys in our room, especially the lighter guys, as Jeter comes in with some knowledge of just some kind of Trappist monk stuff where they sit and think about being able to compete with a bunch of people watching, and it's just exciting to watch those things unfold. I think, if you go through the Perry Regional, was pretty tough again. If you go with Nori, and I think you look at it, the team race has got a lot to say with who wins out of Wall and Zach and Near. And, those types of things come through that, not only have effect on who's going to get to the state tournament, but now you're going to stick a lot of team race points.
Yeah, that's one thing I guess we didn't even touch on with Fair being out. I know we kind of touched on it before we started, but that not only hurts, Perry for the team at semi-state. I mean, I think Cathedral's pretty high up there. They have their horses, obviously. Carmel, you guys have some pretty good guys, and you have a lot there and with some solid draws. But teams, at the state finals, you're looking at Fair was a top 5 placer last year, probably looking same area, top 5. That's a lot of points and Perry was probably one of the few that I think that can hang with a team like Brownsburg and Avon and Mater Dei. So that's a huge loss. And then, like you say right here, Walenzak and Near, another one that's going to affect the team race tremendously. That's a lot of points. You win that match and you're knocking one of their guys out that they're expecting to place. Cameron, what do you think here?
Well, last year it was Slivka and Near in the ticket round, and that was a real tight one. It was 2-0, I think. It's kind of hard for me to bet against Willenzak. I've been, part of this is like the law of recency. I've seen a lot of Cathedral lately, and they've really been dominant. Of course, that's against, that isn't against the entire semi-state. So that Near Willenzak is kind of a flip a coin. But, for me, I guess I would, if I had to pick gun to the head, I'd pick Willenzak. Saw 3G earlier this year, very impressed. Pecoraro, I think, has a nice grouping there. And saw Nori this year. I think he's out of all these guys, maybe the best I saw, at least at that time. So I would pick Nori over 3G in the finals. That's according to my records. That's 3 for the Greyhound. So
I'm not against that.
Not bad.
He's not going to complain there. Howie, what do you think about this weight? Another, this one looks like it's a little bit more separated. Obviously, the Perry Cathedral. Yeah. There's probably no love lost between them. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah. I'm taking Sonny just because based on the outcome of the duel they had. Sonny had actually a major going, and then Walenzak started coming back and kind of almost let the lead slip away, but he ended up pulling it off. Near and nowhere. But Frigi wrestled his butt off, and looked like it was going in overtime, and Sonny basically out of bounds almost, and got face lifted to his back. So, but I think it's going to happen this weekend or Saturday. I got the Carmel kid in the semis getting and Nori beating him in the semis, making it to the finals, and then I got Frigi and Near, and I got Near being the senior and this stuff together and revenging that loss from and then I got Sonny actually winning it.
Sounds good. Obviously, you got to keep with that number 1 ranking, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's you have number in your semi-state. I have those up. Walenda, Zach, and
Dude, the man's name's Wallensack. It's not that hard.
Wallensack. I can pronounce it. It's Wallensack.
Wallensack. I'm not around the Indy area. You guys have all weird names.
Dude, your name's Caprino.
We got a special guest. Coach Shutley popped in.
Uh-oh. Is he here?
He's here.
Uh-oh. Is he going to talk some trash to Coach P or what? Get some scouting reports or?
I would never do that. I don't talk trash. Coach P's my buddy.
We'll see you on Saturday when you guys are matched up in a ticket round match.
Well, I want to beat his ass. He wants to beat mine. That's the way it goes.
So how are the Falcons looking this week? Coach?
You know, it sucks about Sammy.
Yeah, definitely. That's a tough
He's
one.
been rolling. I'm still not over it, but the rest of the guys been working hard. What happens?
Yep, that's a tough one, and especially that can send a bad tone to the team. You know, they can, I'm sure he's a pretty good leader in the room and such. So hopefully they'll be able to rally around it and not let it affect them and wrestle their matches.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think it did affect our team after that happened. And they know he's going to be out for quite a while, but what happens?
Yep, that's part of the – unfortunately, injuries do happen, and most of the time they happen at bad times. So hopefully he'll have a speedy recovery. Definitely a tough wrestler, and I'm sure he'll be back with a little extra motivation for next year. So we'll move on to 126. We'll let Cameron start it off here. What's your take on this weight class? There's some very good matches starting off the day there. Pretty much everywhere there's some really good matches. So
ticket round, Slivka and Culp, both state placers last year. Culp's kind of struggled a little bit, relative to last year, but he was semi-state champ last year. And obviously he's a senior. Slivka's just pretty much tough as nails, though. It's hard to bet against Slivka, but if anybody in this group is going to upset him in a ticket round, it'd be Culp. I like Carmel to get another one through. I saw McMillan, tough guy. But I've seen a lot more of Zerdy over the years. I think Pugsley gets through. I think Pugsley versus Struder is a nice ticket round match. And Alec White obviously is the favorite. He beat Slivka last year in OT in the championship match. I could see that easily happening again.
Yeah. Coach P, what's your take on here? It's pretty good, really good weight class. I think pretty much all the ticket round matches should be pretty solid, and you can't obviously overlook those first round matches either. You got Garrett Walton. I've seen him and Dylan Culp. That should be a good one. Walton seems like he's been around forever.
26, we hope, is a fun weight. I think there's a bunch of guys in there that are sleepers too, because Walton and Culp is going to be a fun match to get into Slivka. Slivka's got a bunch of experience. I think the one that coaching against Cathedral is so hard is the Cathedral guys wrestle so well this time of year. Coach McGinley's got himself a system where, the Irish are going to be tough in February, and they always seem to wrestle well there. I think, in the quarterfinal that we're in, if you look at the Nagannagard and McMillan, McMillan's a threat from everywhere. These Central guys, solid and big and strong, and he's not friendly, and he's going to come at you. And so, it makes it a difficult match. Struder and Pugsley, the Struder's got state experience, and I think Alec White has more experience than anybody in the weight. And so I think it's somebody to try to take it from him. and whoever can compete through the rest of that bracket is really good. I know this is one that we plan on putting Jeter in the chair because I think he's like 16-2 on the coach, and sitting in the corner by himself. So we're going to try to hang out through there and just kind of roll those dice as far as we can take it.
Is there some kind of Jeter count thing going on Twitter or something?
What are you talking about? You know who he is?
No, I don't.
You haven't seen our new coaching staff?
No.
Yeah, Coach Jeter's the addition to our staff this year.
Okay.
Coach Jeter, if you don't know anything about him, he was born on the south side of Chicago. His dad was an illegal bootlegger, and his mom was a one-legged waitress at Denny's. And he was the south side of Carmel, where he developed an interest in pineapple dum-dum suckers and macrame artwork before he graduated from high school, and he moved out to Tibet, where he studied in a monastery. And he developed Zen and be able to calm people down and make sure they're ready to compete in February.
Nice. That's I know every time you mention him, my phone blows up with a tweet. So, and it's from guys like Idle George and half the team members. That's why I kept looking down. I'm like, what? Oh my goodness. Definitely. So I guess, I mean, it's hard to beat a coach like that. I mean, well, I do want to ask how much you're paying him.
He's definitely well trained. People want to talk about the Welches added to the staff, and really it's the solidity and the subconscious comfort that Jeter brings to the room that pretty much hangs us on.
So what do you guys listen to, like the Tibetan monks humming?
Yeah, he plays a pipe flute, those little wooden things like this.
Yes.
And if he changes the tune, it'll hypnotize your opponent, and you're pretty much scared to be 2 points better.
Yeah, you kind of let the secret out of the bag. Now everyone's gonna be wearing earplugs at semi-state.
No, you can't. He's a Trappist monk. They go through those process things. They'd have to be from an elm tree that was born west of the Mississippi that was under the age of 40 years old.
Oh, okay. Nice. Wow.
Come up with
I'm just more impressed that you said all that stuff with a straight face. Well, Howie, how are you gonna top that?
Yeah, follow that.
I can't. That's impossible. But I was hypnotized by everything he just said.
Was Coach Shutley still there?
I think you blew the whistle on me, or the little wooden thing. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, that Culp Slifka match is going to be a hell of a ticket round match. But I got Slifka. He's a hard-nosed kid. Like Cameron said, it's hard to bet against the Irish like Slifka. And I got is it Jardy? Sounds right. Jardy.
It's hair day.
Hair day.
Hey, okay. The Herday kid. Going at it in the semis. Then I got I actually picked Struder over Pugsley, but that's gonna be a good one. And then I got White coming out on top.
Yeah, that should be Pugsley versus.
But I think if I'm not mistaken, I think White and Slifka had another overtime match earlier in the year.
Yeah,
be a good one.
That should be a good one. I know Struder and Pugsley, I've seen personally we have a pretty good 26. And I know he wrestled both those guys in the same day, and they're both tall, lanky, and kind of. I mean, that should be a good match. They're gonna. And Struder has 11 losses, but you can't overlook him. They're both pretty good kids, and Struder, I think earlier in the season was maybe adjusting to going up in weight, and I think he might be clicking a little bit better now. Moving on, 132, Braden Bailey, class of the field. Kind of got to root for a kid that has 5 losses on his career. 3 of them are in the semis, and 2 are to some Ohio and an Ohio kid. So he's only has 3 losses in the state, and they're all in the semifinals. Should be a pretty good weight. He has pretty tough Hayden Lowry, probably in the ticket round. Ethan Smiley, pretty good kid from everything I read in that article we had a few weeks ago. I think it sounds like he's a pretty well-rounded kid and definitely helping his team. Zach Bowling, pretty tough kid there. Jack Servy's another great matchup there. The bottom half is Kanan Schaefer. So we got 2 undefeated guys and one guy that's has 1 loss. So overall, pretty neat, pretty good weight class. Howie, we'll let you start us off here.
Well, I'm going to go against the parts on the website. I think it was last night, and they had Hyatt and Ellis picked to battle it out in the semis.
Yeah.
Agree with them. I think Bailey gets past them. I got Braden I got him going all the way through to the finals, but I think it'll be him and Smiley in the semis. And I have Coach Shetley's probably going to kill me, but I got Zach Bowling. Zach Bowling, Schaefer to the semis. Schaefer winning, and Bailey beating him in the finals.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I might see some violence here.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good weight class.
I was really watching Shetley punch Cotty on camera.
Okay. Well, let's not do that.
Coach P, how do you what do you have anything in this weight class? It doesn't look like you guys have a guy here, so you're a little bit more free to talk.
This one's a weight class with Smiley and Bailey on the same side of the brackets. You kind of got to go. It'd be nice to see those guys wrestle in the finals. The South Dearborn guys come through and surprised a whole bunch of people a couple years ago, and to see what they're able to do. I think to compare Smiley, in my opinion, to Bailey. Smiley is a grinder and a technician and going to stay solid. And Andrew Howlike just be heavy and move you and stay in position and pick his battles. And Bailey's going to have a whole bunch of wrestling that's going to wind things up and put you in positions you don't want to be in. I think Bailey might be the best example of a cathedral guy ever. Of he thinks he can beat anybody. I mean, Bailey can go wrestle Jeter, and he's going to think he's going to be able to beat him no matter what. And so it's a lot of fun. But no, I mean, and it's a compliment to Bailey. It's fun to coach guys that they can stand in front of anybody and think they're going to go take them out. And, that puts guys in an advantage. Can you get Smiley out of position? Can you get him tired? Those types of things. Those are fun for me to watch. It's a little bit of Iowa, Oklahoma, or Iowa, Penn State, watching Smiley wrestle Bailey.
Yeah, definitely. Should be. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Bailey kind of, I pull for a few kids here and there, you kind of hope that maybe he at least gets under the lights for once and doesn't have a, let down in the semis again. Cause that's, you don't want to, you see how good he really is, he'll have 5 or 6 losses maybe on his career. And, that's tough. And going down is probably one that, there's only a few guys that can say they're 4-time placers, let alone 4-time semifinalists. So, Cameron, what do you have to say about this weight?
Yeah, not much else to add. I mean, my picks are actually identical to Howie's, and I would just say right off the bat that Azariah Ellis of Zionsville is going to be a tough out. A lot of those Zionsville guys have kind of so-so records, but they're grinders, and he's been there forever, like for a decade or so. And I think that Servy's and bowling match is 50-50. It could go either way. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have a good feeling for that one, but yeah, I would see Bailey and Schaefer in the finals, and it's hard for me to visualize Bailey losing this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely looking forward to that state draw. Hopefully him and Wrights are on the opposite sides. Definitely don't want that match in the semis.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving on, 138. class of this field looks to be Zach Mello is probably one of the favorites here, but a lot of guys that are pretty even. Mello has one loss to Selmer out of Floyd Central, so that's where his one loss is from. Should be some good weights. We'll start with you this time, Cameron. We'll give you the floor.
Yeah,
2 times in a row.
Cody Wagner, Zionsville, and Brooks Davis of Perry Meridian. That's a dogfight, flip a coin. Yeah, again, gun to my head, maybe Wagner just on the strength of coming in as a regional champ, but hard to bet against Perry Meridian guys too. So Zach Mello, clearly to me the hands down favorite. He pinned Rumpf this year. He's looked amazing in the postseason. Again, seen a lot of the Irish. Mancera and Moore is a heck of a ticket match if it goes down like that. Mancera, and he's a scrappy dude. Bailey Moore's got a nice record. Maybe a little tougher schedule for Lawrence Central. Maybe lean towards Mancera there. Another great one is Shenandoah Senior Sergei. I guess is that how you say it?
Sergi.
Sergi, against White, 42-2, regional champ for Sergi, and White obviously 6th in the state. I'm going with a little bit of an upset there. Take the Shenandoah guy, actually to face Mello in the finals, but joining Mancera and Wagner, moving on to Baker's Life.
Yeah, that should be looking at some of those Mancera. Saw him, actually my kid wrestled him at Al Smith first round, and it was a 1-0 match. He's pretty tough, pretty hard to score on, obviously. So that's going to be an interesting match between him and Moore.
He's very solid.
Coach P, what's your take here?
This is a fun weight class to watch, and it's one that there's not a big names here that people are super excited to see, but this one could be the deal breaker for the team race. As you go through, we did a little bit the same thing. We went into our regional, and we did the same thing in our sectional that are just super competitive. There's some weights that people aren't really, that's not a bunch of big names and return to state place winners. But this one's got some guys in here that has a lot to say on what's going to go on in the team race. Can the Perry kid get through? I think Zionsville is a legit threat to be in the team race towards the end of this tournament, but they need a whole bunch of help from a whole lot of people. But if Zionsville is going to put 3-4 in the finals, they're going to have to wrestle well in a bunch of spaces that are out of their mind, but they're also going to need to take out some Perry Meridian guys and do some things like that. Mello being the class of the group, but across tier White's competitive. I don't remember very much about the Shenandoah guy. And then who comes out? The LC kid, Manzera's got a bunch of experience on his belt this year, but he's sometimes high, sometimes low, and Moore's a little bit the same way. We'll see who comes out all these, but I can tell you what Carmel's at when they look at this weight class is this is a team race weight class, because the Perry Meridian kid could make the finals and lock up the team race for him, or he could get beat by Wagner, and now all of a sudden other people are in the race. Yep. Sorry, Coach Shutley.
Howie, what's your take here?
I'm going to make it up to him. Really think Brooks will beat Wagner the ticket round. It's going to be a dog fight. It's going to be good. I think he'll pull it off. Of course, then you got Mello. I got Bailey Moore over Mancera. I think Moore won Connorsville. He's solid. He's nothing fancy, but he's a grinder, and he's tough. Pulls that one out, and then you got Riley White. I think it'll be him and Mello in the finals, and Mello pulling it off.
Sounds good. Plenty of weight class, like Coach P said, it's going to be one that I'm sure they'll be rooting for a couple different guys that from the lesser schools that aren't the big threats to the team race, and they can that's what's you gotta get when you're talking this type of event, you gotta if you want to win it, you gotta hope the chips fall in the right place, or it can get ugly in a hurry. Definitely. Moving on, 145. We'll start with you, Coach P. Pretty wide open weight class, a lot of solid guys. Boone Welliver. I totally pronounced that wrong, I'm sure. Undefeated here. Lots of good kids. Should be pretty much like 138. A lot of guys that are real close and could be one of about 5 guys end up the champion.
No, I agree. I mean, I think this one falls in to the team race stuff. I mean, can the freshman from Cathedral find his way and get out and qualify for the state tournament? That's, it'd be a big thing for a freshman, a good thing for the Irish, but it's going to be involved in the team race. Souter, our guy's been wrestling well, and he's on a high, and, he's doing good things and hopefully in a spot, coming out of the top bracket. I think you get into the top bracket and the bottom bracket, you get into a whole bunch of guys that you go, who's going to come out? And I think, Wheeler's solid, and he does a whole bunch of really, really good things, and he's going to be super hard to beat. Rust and Cowan, he gets back into the team race of, they're going to happen through there. I know that the Hamilton Heights guys are physical, and they can score from a lot of places, and they're dangerous. They're going to put you on their back, and they're going to pin you. But the part that we always feel about the Hamilton Heights guys is they're also going to knock you in the throat and keep going. And so, it doesn't affect the Perry kid very much because they do that daily in the room. So, I mean, how that's going to happen to each other, I think that's a match when I look at this weight. I go, let's see what happens between Rust and Cowan, because those are 2 junkyard dogs who are going to stand there and slug each other, and we'll see what happens.
Should I get the MMA gloves on there and just, go get the cage?
Or we can give them 40 minutes of Jeter before it starts, and they can maybe calm everybody down, and he'd be friendly, and they'd ride haikus.
You probably need to call Rex and see if you guys can, pre-match, instead of the national anthem, have Jeter play his flute and calm everyone down so there's no incidences. Cameron, what's your take on this weight? The Rust Cowan match is going to be probably the biggest ticket round match there.
I circled that one. To me, that is definitely the highlight of the ticket round for 145. And, kind of on this 50-50s, I've gone against Perry. I'm going with Perry this time. I think Rust pulls the quote-unquote upset. But I don't think it's an upset either way. Both obviously established, successful careers, both seniors. That should be a real slobber knocker, as they say. But I think Will Lever is the class of this field. He's another guy that's been around forever, been at a high level forever. I think this is the year he gets up on the podium at Banker's Life, and he is 36-0 and somehow 15th. But it's just kind of, I think, location. A very, very tough, sound kid. I think Graves will be his opponent in the finals, and I think Will Brandt sort of takes advantage of his draw and moves on to Banker's Life also.
Howie, what's your take here?
I mean, obviously that Allen Russ match is going to be a lot of fireworks there. I've been getting a lot of throughout the year little private messages from somebody, I won't mention any names, from that Hamilton Heights area, telling me I should switch Cohen and Russ 1 and 2. But I stuck it out with Russ, so I hope he wins it. Just because, based on my picks, if not, I'm gonna be pro. Got believe it or not, I got a sleeper here. I got the Southport kid Rothwell it out on the top there, and then against Graves making it to the finals, and then Williver making it out. And I agree, Williver, like Cameron said, Williver stand on top of the podium.
Sounds good. Looks like, I mean, that top quarter bracket's kind of a pick 'em there. I don't have the rankings in front, the state rankings, but I assume that's one. Mike doesn't have a state rank guy there. That's the beauty of our rankings being locked after sectional. Moving on, 152. This should be, we might have a little argument here. Is Coach Shutley ready to argue here? Got
He may
Noah Warren up top, then Jack Idle George. Warren was a gorilla last year. Pretty tough kid, pretty nice guy from everything I've seen. And he could run into Corbin Hines, who his dad also writes the Wrestling Wednesday articles. So a lot of connections here. Idle George will have a tough Cody Klettheimer and Tucker Kaufman winner. I know Kaufman's wrestled Bain to a couple close matches. Pretty solid weight, just top to bottom. Andrew Negengard had a pretty good IPO place there. And then bottom half, you have David Kitko and Sam Gobian. Should be a good match. I know you guys have touched on it. Zionsville looks like they're peaking at the right time. They know they wrestle a pretty good schedule. So having 10 losses isn't unheard of on that schedule they wrestle. So we'll let Howie take the lead here so he can get the first jab at that semifinal match, which should be probably the final match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet against Noah. He's looked phenomenal. But that semifinal match up top going to be a good one. If Idle Jorge, is that how you pronounce it?
Idle Jorge.
Idle Jorge.
Idle Jorge. I don't know if they've ever wrestled or not, but it's hard for me to bet against Noah the way he's wrestled, especially his style. It's kind of funky, but in the semis with Noah winning, I got I'm gonna butcher this name. Niggle. Help me out, Coach.
Negengard? Is it Negengard?
Man,
Yeah,
I'm horrible with names. I got him against Kitko. With Noah winning it against we'll just say the East Central kid.
Yeah. Coach P, what's your take on here? You got obviously that got tough ticket round match, and then you got after that, if you win that, you got Noah Warren, who's a hammer to say the least.
Yeah. And I also think Negengard is, a huge threat on the bottom. We wrestled him out of Connorsville. And, we wrestled Kaufman last year at Connorsville, and that guy's a threat. And he put down Idle George last year. So, we'll be happy to get through that. Klettheimer's got a bunch of youth experience and a bunch of mat time. I know we'll be watching that match close. And if Idle George can get through there, I know our Coach Shutley's not in the room anymore, so I can say we can't stop it when somebody tries to arm spin us within 10 seconds of the match. So I really hope they don't try to arm spin us 10 seconds into it every time we fall for it. Just I hope they don't arm spin us. 10 seconds in, especially 10 seconds in. Sucker for suicide arm spins. Don't tell Shutley suicide arm spin is it's our Achilles heel. Even Jeter can't stop it.
Oh, wow. Wow. Sounds like a mental thing that you can't, 10 seconds in.
10 seconds in, suicide arm spin, we fall for it every time.
Nice. Who is Idle George's lost to this year?
He lost it to Mappus. We
Okay.
bumped the deal against Center Grove. We got taken down at the buzzer to lose 3-1.
Yeah, he does that. I've heard from matches. And with that, Cameron, what's your take here?
Pretty similar to what's been said. I think Warren is the favorite. That semi with Idle Jorge should be a nice one. And he's gotten better each year. I guess I am kind of partial to the Hamilton County teams, but it's really more like proximity. I've seen them more, and so you see their growth more, and so it's kind of cool to see him with such a nice win-loss record. But Warren's clearly the favorite. But that group that Idle George is in is pretty nasty. They Frankton from like 152 to 220 is really surprising. They have some real quality upper weights, and obviously Tucker Kaufman's been at this point before, and not going to be phased by the pressure, I think. So either way, Idle George is going to have a really tough match, and I got Gobain getting by Kitco, but that's a kind of a pick 'em. And there could be some real upsets, especially on the bottom portion of that bracket. There could be some surprise names advancing to Banker's Life. So,
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
I do have to say this, or I'm going to have a pissed off Mrs. Idle Jorge. His name is Jack Idle George, and it is not the same as the museum, and it's not spelled the same as the museum.
Okay. Wasn't that the one that we got in trouble for last year or the year before?
Oh, Mrs. Pecoraro.
Oh, Pekakar. Yeah, her.
You're talking about Pecacora.
Pecoraro.
Okay.
No, it's Pecoraro, Mrs. Pecoraro. It's Pecoraro.
Pecorara.
We need what we need on these brackets is pronunciations. Instead of clicking on them and you get in their track profile, we need pronunciations like that. You do like you go like the dictionary.com, it'll pronounce it for you.
Yeah.
So moving on, 160. This is gonna be a pretty fun weight. A lot of really good kids. That top quarter bracket is just ugly. Christian Warren, undefeated, wins regional, and his reward is to get the winner of Lane Frazee, who was a state placer last year, and Josh Gee from Shenandoah, who's pretty solid. Definitely not a slouch by any means. You got state placer, state qualifier Drew Berkebile there, Austin Bain, who's a two-time state medalist, Matt Wirtz, who's had a pretty good season. Lots of really good kids and some landmines in there that if you overlook someone, you might be going home a little early. We'll let Coach P take a first stab at this one.
Yeah, the top quarterfinal bracket is a big deal. Frazee's hard to score on, and he's not going to make mistakes. And he's a big, strong, powerful guy. Warren's been around forever. I mean, he's your typical Perry guy. He can score from all positions. They're harder than hell to ride. Gee's long. He's got some semi-state experience, and Booker's the athlete. That one's not fun at all. I think the quarterfinal match at 160 with Berkebile and Miller, should be competitive. Miller's, he's got some good wins in his belt, and he's also got some real close matches. And so, I mean, if he can put a day together, it might be his turn to go. I think Mahan and Bain, they wrestled at Connorsville, and I think I saw the end of it of, Mahan's not afraid to get into a scramble and put you on your back. I mean, that's a guy that you got to be afraid of coming all the way through, but Bain can scramble himself. And so, that'll be a fun match to watch. And in the bottom bracket, I think Wirtz has got a quality win over Hayes. And, so whether he's going to be able to come out over there, Lazara's a senior, great, big, strong guy. I mean, who knows? That one's a kind of who pick him, who comes out there. That top quarterfinal bracket's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I'm going to make sure I'm watching the Bain Mayhem match because that's going to be some flopping and rolling, and that'll be exciting.
Yes. Yep. Sounds good. Howie, what's your take here?
Well, Christian's undefeated. So you said me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't want to cut Cameron off. Christian's undefeated. He's watch him all year. His cousin Noah Warren wrestled Frazee. Is that how we're going to pronounce it?
Frazee, I believe.
Frazee. Okay. I know he wrestled Frazee, I think, for 7th and 8th last year, and I think he pretty much dominated him. Hear that with how Christian and Noah wrestle each other pretty close. So I got Christian winning that ticket round match, which, you know, it's going to be a good one. I got Burka Bill winning that one, and then Bain. And that Mahan, I mean, he's getting better and better. Bain, all he can handle. Wirtz, and then I got Bain, although I got Coach Shetley sitting next to me, I got Bain giving Christian his first loss of the year in the finals.
Yeah, that should be. I mean, Bain's had some close matches this year, and I think I know Guy wrestled him to a 1-point match. I know he's had a couple matches with Tucker Kaufman, so he could be primed to take his first loss. And at least it looks like semi-wise the top two guys are separated for once, I think, at semi-state this year. Only in a few weight classes. Cameron, what's your take here?
Yeah, I got Bain over Warren in the finals. Berkebile is very dangerous. Of course, he does have a tough little group of 4 to get through. Brett Wright, Southport is. We saw Southport earlier. They were very solid, very impressive. Justin Miller, as Ed said, that he's got a ton of wins over his career over tough guys and is dangerous. But Berkebile gets his face mask on and starts, plowing with his head. He's pretty tough. But that bottom group, I think, is the most up in the air. I think Wirtz is the favorite. Lazara is tough. I don't know if he's quite faced the competition. So I guess that's the deciding thing for me is I think Wirtz will take that bottom section of the bracket in advance.
Yeah, definitely one of those weights that should be a pretty good one. Moving on, 170 should be another fun one. Highlight the Fab freshman Silas Allred, having a great season, undefeated. Seeing him personally, he's pretty tough. Thomas Panola had that breakout, went from unranked to like third after the Al Smith, after he ran through Al Smith, beat like 26 state qualifiers, I think. Panola will have a tough one with Jake Ruberg, another 800-pound gorilla. So it should be a pretty good weight class. Who hasn't gone first yet? Well, Howie, we'll let you go first this time.
Okay. I got Webster. In that ticket round match. I got this second one's going to be a tough. I mean, it's going to be a good one with Mazzaro. I hope I pronounced it right. Mazzaro and Allard. He's that kid's freshman phenom darn near. Actually running all the way through to the finals. I got him beating Webster, which it's kind of tough to root against or pick against the senior, the freshman against senior, but he's from everything I've been told, he's rolling. Third match is going to be another barn burner. I think Ruberg made state his freshman year and then got hurt his sophomore year, and then last year he got knocked out in the ticket round. Mm-hmm. I got him getting knocked out again. I mean, he can easily beat Panola, but like you said, he's rolling. So got him, and then I got Lowe from Greenfield Central making it out with, like I said, Silas winning it.
Yeah. Should be fun. Coach P, what's your take here? Especially on
the how he didn't pick the Carmel kid. He's finally got a name he can read. Come on, Kyle. The guy's name Hart. Give him a chance.
Yeah, you're right. That was an easy one to pronounce too.
I know. You missed the gimme. No, I look at 170 and you go, okay, the third quarterfinal bracket down. If you go Panola and Ruberg down, it's going to be a fun one. You knew with Webster and Panola coming out, And with Allred and Ruberg coming out, there's a chance of that nightmare of why we need wrestlebacks more than anything else. And, when it happens, and here's one at 70, you just go, oh, man, who's going to go get it? And the Pinola's as well coached as you can find. And Ruberg's got a whole bunch of experience, and he's got some quality partners that are a little bit bigger than him. So, that's going to be a fun one to watch. I think those two guys hanging in there and pushing each other around is going to be a lot of fun. I think this would be a big one for the freshman from Shenandoah. If he can run this tournament the way that he's running other stuff, it'd really be a place to show. I think, the question mark of can he handle, not knowing much about the Pendleton Heights guy, but coming through Nazero to Webster to Panola, Ruberg, or whoever's coming out on the bottom, if he can make a run through those three tournaments, now you're looking at a Mauer type of freshman that's coming in and just doing amazing things where he's at. And can his body handle it? Can his technique get him through it? And the freshman mentality. And this one would put me on oh my goodness, this guy's, could be potential to be one of the best ever if the freshman can do that. But that's a pretty good task in front of them. But, if you look at all of the greats that were ever the greats, they got to have quality opponents in front of them. And Superman wouldn't be very much if there wasn't Lex Luthor. And so, if you look at the guys with the best careers ever in Indiana, they had great opponents all the way through. And so, here's a chance for the Shenandoah freshman to come through. If he can knock those three matches out, I'll be the first one to tip my hat and go, okay, I'm in, hell yeah, because it's funner than hell to watch. I've seen him a little bit at Connorsville, and he's going to come get you. And that's super neat to watch somebody like that that's young, and he's got a young body, and he doesn't give a crap. He's going to come knock the piss out of you, and that's good for him and good for all the guys at Shenandoah. Do a hell of a job getting them guys ready to wrestle. And so I look forward to seeing this one unfold.
Yep. So, yeah, I saw him last summer, first time at Yorktown. They were wrestling, and was pretty impressed. I heard, I kind of heard grumblings that they have a pretty good kid that's 60, 70-ish, and then got to see him again. And he's tough, stays in good position, and definitely for being 14 years old, he's found that weight room area, and he's pretty well built. So he's not going to be, you're going to have a senior like Webster probably running into him. He's not going to be totally outmanned in that area where you're thinking a freshman 170-pounder is. Cameron, what's your take here?
I got the same foursome as Howie, and but the Webster Allred potential matchup kind of reminds me of freshman Mitch Sliga and senior Aaron Stevenson. I know a lot of people had strong opinions on how that was going to turn out, and Stevenson ended up getting the best of them, but
that was Sliga's sophomore year.
What's that?
It was Sliga's sophomore year.
He stuck.
No, that was his sophomore year. He said.
Oh, wait a minute. He was a sophomore when he faced Stevenson.
Correct.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Well, anyway, the young guy at an upper weight against the senior. I haven't seen Allred. I've heard a lot of things about him, and I'm kind of excited to see that. Panola is one of those guys that, I've seen him for a couple years, and it's like he's a new guy. It's hard not to get behind that, but it's also hard not to get behind Jake Ruberg. Kind of a tough couple years since that freshman breakthrough year when he really surprised me at semi-state as a freshman. And anyway, that semis match with Webster and Allred should be worth the price of admission. But even more than that, the winner versus Panola should be a great match too. So I'm really excited to see what happens after the ticket round here.
Yeah, definitely. 170 throughout the state just is kind of a toss-up from everything I've seen. And one of those weights that any of the guys in the top 12 can probably pull it out. Depends on who's going to come to wrestle. 182, we'll let Coach P start it out. Looks like a pretty wide open weight class. No real big favorites. Everyone has a couple losses, except for, I guess, one guy has one loss. But it should be a pretty good weight class here. What's your take?
I haven't seen a whole lot of these guys. I think, looking at the top half of the top quarterfinal bracket, with Simmons being an athletic guy that's going up a weight class, Josue Hills, an athletic guy that's been around. I think, that match should be okay depending on what happens with the Franklin County guy first round. Coming through the next bracket, I think, Jessup's coming in late at the end of the season. He's wrestling fresh and he looks pretty darn good. And as watching him wrestle for the last couple of years in our county and then through our sectional, and we see them in a duel, he looks as excited to wrestle as I've ever seen him. And, that makes him difficult to wrestle against because he's a big, powerful guy. I know him and Stanball have kind of traded here over the last couple of weeks, and Stanball is about as seasoned as they come. And Jessup just got a smile on his face every second of the match. And you go, oh, this guy's going to be hard to beat. And you go through the state tournament series and you're wrestling like that. You're going to be pretty darn dangerous. Stanball coming through is a guy he's sneaky. He keeps matches close. He doesn't score 800 points on people, but he's so damn hard to score on. He's going to stick around, and he's got so much match sense. And Coach Bocock usually gets the Lebanon guys compete well. They had 4 champs last week at the regional. And so, you got to feel good about Stanball coming through there. The bottom half of the bracket, Rolfus has got guys that he trains with on the top and the bottom. And Sharp upset a pretty good guy last week that nobody really thought he could beat, and we'd like to think maybe he can come through that one. And then with the Frankton guy, we don't know very much about. And then this is a weight class that's, going to be some fun to watch. I would bet this is a weight class when the tournament ends, somebody goes, I can't believe finals. That's what we talked to our team about. When the semi-state ends, everybody's going to leave Chrysler Arena and say, hey, I can't believe, fill in the blank name won. And this is a weight that something like that could happen, and you're just going to luck out and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe the Bowman from Franklin County came through and won. I mean, you can pick a bunch of guys in here and they can compete in this weight class. I think, that if I had to pick a random one, I think Jessup just looks pretty good because he's so damn happy to wrestle and he's so big and powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Howie, what's your take here?
Simmons, I think he did himself a favor by moving up. 70's just loaded, but I mean A2's solid too. But I think he got by moving up, and he was rewarded by getting in a pretty good bracket. I think he makes it out. Allen and Jessup. I haven't got a chance to see Jessup wrestle. I know he obviously was injured at some point because he missed quite a bit of the year. I had to send messages to find out if he was still in the lineup or not, or still on the team. But I couldn't get anything from him. And then I saw his name pop back up, so I'm assuming he had a little bit of an injury or something. But I got Simmons and Allen in the semis. Obviously, with Jessup, I mean, that's Coach P knows a little more about him than I do. And Rolfs, Tim rolling around with Ruberg and the likes of Mason Paris, and he's had a couple of good wins too. I got him making out with Stanball winning it against Simmons in the finals.
Cameron, what's your take here?
Well, we only have 3 ranked wrestlers, but there is quite a few real solid guys in here that are probably a little underrated. I've been told by no other authority than Terry O'Neill that Jessup is the sleeper of the entire state series. So that held some weight with me, and I got Jessup winning it over Stanball, although it should be a real shootout. And of course, Jessup has to get by Allen, which is easier said than done. Simmons has to get by Hill. And I'll tell you, Stanball's got a real tough ticket match potentially against Hanson of Roncalli. 37-4 with Roncalli's tough schedule. That's far from a gimme. And I know Stanball got upset in the ticket round last year. And then the bottom quadrant, I think it's whoever's day it is. Rolfs has the nice record. Highly doubt they wrestle the same kind of schedule Carmel does. But it's kind of a pick 'em. But I think Jessup and Stambaugh could make for a hell of a finals.
Definitely. Pretty good weight. Like Coach P said, this was one that you can easily see, some guys coming out of here. 195. We'll let you start it off. Cameron got Tristan Tante and Ben Stewart. They did get separated. Bracket gods were on the side for once. Like the second out of all 3 semi-states I've done are the guys that, you'd say were pretty close to the top 2, pretty clear cut, and they finally were separated. So they'll meet in the finals. That should be a good one. Warren Central and, Cathedral aren't exchanging. I don't think Coach Tante's exchanging Christmas cards with McGinley. There's a pretty good little rivalry going on there. So we'll let you start it off, Cameron.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Tante and Stewart is what everybody wants to see. Stewart is gigantic. I know he's always been a pretty stout guy, but he's tossing his opponents around like you don't see too often at the high school level. But Tante's a little different story. So I favor Tante, but Stewart is a man beast. Slavens, unfortunately, for the second year in a row from Northmont, gets Stewart in the ticket round, and that's a bummer for him. He's a senior, and he's a tough senior, but Stewart's pretty tough nut to crack. Tante, I think, has a pretty clear run to the finals. Williamson and Owensby is a pretty tough opening round match. Zionsville is peaking clearly, but Delph from Frankton, another one of those tough Frankton upperweights. 2 losses, not really able to cope with Stewart's strength, but he's a big tough guy. Should be a tough opponent for Williamson. But anyway, I have Tante over Stewart, and I think Westfield gets one through with Iago and Williamson of Zionsville are the other placers.
Sounds good. Howie, how's your bracket looking? Got the whole rivalry
mine's pretty much
shaping.
Yeah, mine's pretty much the same as Cameron's, but at Delph, I mean, he from what I've been told, he's gotten a lot of private messages on him. He's holding a pretty good record, but Frankton, I don't think, has a real deep schedule. But I think he'll give Williamson a go. But I think Williamson pulled it off. He's been wrestling a long time. Got Tante over Williamson, and then like Cameron said, it's a shame about Slavens getting that death draw, but you never know. I mean, he could pull it out, but highly unlikely. I got Stewart and then Iago, a rematch of the Tante Stewart match, and got to go with Tante's. Squeaked them out the last few times they've wrestled, so got Tante winning it.
Coach P, what's your take on this weight? You obviously have 2 football stars, both signed to play football in college. So Stewart, I think, is Boston College, and Tante's staying close to home. He's a mama's boy, I guess.
This one's fun. If it wasn't that I like Indiana high school wrestling, I'd say, if it was for a TV show, I'd say put them in the ticket round again, because didn't they do that twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good wrestling. It's 2 good schools, and a whole bunch of team points going on there. And like I said, you go with some history and some competition stuff. I love the clash in styles. The strong combative going to knock you over or kill himself trying to knock you over, and Tante's just dangerous. And if you just stand there and try not to get dangerous, Tante will pick you apart. It's entertaining wrestling to watch. I can't wait to see it happen. I think the top bracket, Williamson's got a whole bunch of experience. He's never been in this tournament before, but the guy's been wrestling forever, and he doesn't score a whole lot of points. And if you mess up, he's going to score. Down on the bottom half of the bracket, I know Yaga's put a good season together. where he ended the year last year. He ended ended up wrestling the year hot and coming through this part of the season. If he can put a tournament together, it could be a place where he gets himself through and, can hopefully be a threat to some of them other guys. But like I said, Tante and Stewart as an entertainment value just because of the history is on the top of my list to watch. But then you throw in just Ed Pendowski-isms. I love to watch the, straight at you combative guy wrestle the assassin that's going to slick you and headlock you and you can't screw up. And I mean, that's technically it's fun. History, it's fun. Team race, it's fun. Thank you to both of them.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we'll get that one under the lights. Possibly, I don't know. You have some other guys like Andrew Davison that might have a few things to say about that. It should be a good weight at state. Moving up to 20, the Mason Parrish show. I've heard he's decent.
Mhm.
What I got to ask you, Coach P, what's your strategy against him?
Well, Jeter's been watching a lot of film.
That's a good way to start.
They've been doing a lot of polar equations and math. And so they're going to try to. No, I hope I'm not breaking a trust thing here, but I was talking to Mr. Paris a couple of weeks ago, and as much as I love to watch Mason compete, I'd love to watch him practice. The things that he does with his God-given gifts are pretty special, and that means he's got some training stuff going on that I would love to. I like to watch practice, sometimes more than I like to watch competition. The top half of the bracket, the top quarterfinal bracket with, McLean's not been beat, and he's putting things together, and Bocock gets those guys ready to go at this time of year. I think it'd be difficult to beat through this one. If you go to the third one down, I have not seen Cornwell this year. I know Myron's big and hard to score on, and so I'd like to see that match happen. And then you go to the bottom bracket, starting to get into some team point stuff again. If you look at can Pure Meridian sneak a guy through, can Cathedral sneak a guy through here, that is not one that people are looking at guys that are going to make the finals, but these are the guys that are going to make the difference in the team race. And if you want to start going to the next level of guys getting through of who can compete as a team, they need the Perrys and the Cathedrals to not get these guys to squeak through.
Yeah, definitely. On that Mason Paris talk. One of the guys I work with, his kids go to Concordia, who played Lawrenceburg in the state finals, and he asked if do they have any good wrestlers. I said yes, and so this Mason Paris kid, he's kind of good, and so he's like he watched him. He's like, man, that dude just flies around the field, and he has like basically like a reckless abandon. He doesn't care. He's gonna hit you. And then after talking to him, he's asking how good really is he? I go, well, he's like second or third in the country, and he's like, he's that good. He's like, oh yeah, and he might not even might not even wrestle in college, which I'm kind of obviously we're all wrestling fans. I'd like to see him probably go NFL, but if he can't go NFL, I'd love to see him wrestle, put on a singlet for a top 10 program.
Neil and Carmelville watched themselves some football. And we were kind of following it as they were going through the state tournament series. And my Spider-Man senses tell me it was the semi-state game, but I think he had something around like 17 or 18 tackles. I think he had 50 yards rushing, and I think he had like 70 yards receiving.
Jeez.
So I can't imagine that big bastard out wide trying to be covered by a 2A or 3A defensive back, but that's an intimidating guy to be out on the edge of the field. And I can't imagine him doing that. But, that's hats off to him. He's got some God-given gifts, and he works his butt off, and good for those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I think in like the state championship game, their running back got an injury, and he like started filling in like second half or whatever, and he'd get like 7-8 yards of carry. But by the end, he got tired because he was playing both ways and all special teams, punting, kicking, catching, And, I mean, I'm sure he's definitely if he's running at me, I'm just going to dive and – hope that he doesn't hit me too hard.
Do you think the baseball coach sometime this spring is going to go, oh, shucks, we got to play somebody that's really good. Paris, you're in, you're pitching.
Yeah.
We just want you to pitch today. I wonder if he can do it all.
Yeah. I think didn't he qualify for regional and track too, I think, and like high hurdles or something. I don't know. I'm fairly certain he did, or maybe shot put, but obviously pretty talented athlete. Howie, Are you going to pick against Paris?
Yeah, I think Paris is going to win it.
Going on a pretty strong limb there.
Yeah. I'm going to take a gamble on that one. The ticket round match up top with McLean and Riley Miller at the beginning of the year at the Capital City Classic. Was it overtime? It was triple overtime. So he's pulling it out just since he won that match in triple overtime. But that's gonna be a good match. Riley's kind of a hard-nosed kid, no flair, but he'll go 100 miles an hour for all 6 minutes or 8 minutes or however many times they go into. But then, of course, the cream of the crop, Mason Paris. Well, I got a chance to watch him wrestle at the cadet duels out in York, Pennsylvania over the summer. Struggled a little bit, but you're talking about some of the country. Big kid, strong kid. One of them hell bears probably. I got him making it out. And then Burton from New Pal, watched him last weekend and the year before. He's solid, 220, not real big, but decent size. Winning it.
Sounds good. Cameron, what's your take? You gonna jump on the Mason Paris bandwagon?
I am, and in fact, in the 15, 16 years or so, I've been going to the Newcastle semi-state. I'm hard pressed to think of anybody from that regional that is kind of on his level. I mean, Phillips kind of comes to mind, and Duckworth, but Paris, man, he's a unique talent. Obviously an amazing wrestler, but really just kind of somebody you don't see too often. So it's kind of cool that we get another year with him. I think he runs away with this, barring, anything unfortunate. Cornwell, he looked pretty technically sound. I saw him at regional last week. Maybe not massively strong for the weight, but not weak. But I think he's solid, and I think he's got a chance to wrestle Paris for the title. But that bottom four, I think any one of those four guys can win it. And I don't think there's too many groups that you can say that about, but I honestly believe that any one of those guys can come out. I picked Burton, but Gould could beat him right off the bat. So yeah, that's I think there could be some surprises at 220.
Definitely. We'll move on. 285. Lots of good matches here. Up top, Austin Dollins and Robert Samuels in the ticket round. Both were at Samuels was state runner-up last year. Dollins was a qualifier. Should have a pretty good bracket. Right below that, Jaden Powell from Speedway has had a pretty good season. I know he gave Evan Ellis a pretty good match, and Jack, the Juggernaut Williams. Hopefully Howie doesn't butcher that name too. But then going down, you have some pretty good guys. Lots of toss-ups here, I think, as far as who's going to come out of these quarter brackets. We'll let you finish this one, Cameron. Just hopefully your phone's still in good battery.
Yeah. My office is still running strong.
Wait a minute, Cameron, you're on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were like in the bottom of a well.
Yeah, well,
if you just decide to go, it puts the lotion on the skin or it gets the hose again. I'm
is she a real that person? All right. Dollins and Wirch wrestled last year at semi-state. Dollins won a close one. He got rewarded for a regional title with drawing Samuels. It's kind of a bummer, but Samuels obviously to me is the favorite of the whole field. He lost to Bailey last week, but and Bailey is tough, but Bailey's got a pretty tough shot just to punch his ticket. Kunkelman is going to give him I think, a really tough match. I think the third group of four is really a toss-up. I think Marcus Stone of Elwood is a big boy, big athletic boy. I believe Mingus he qualified for state a couple years ago, maybe. I think Woolbright, just based on record and schedule, has maybe the inside track there. And Powell and Jack Williams should be a good one. Was he the Drifter? Is that Jack Williams?
No, the Drifters are 95. That's my favorite nickname.
But I think it's Samuels and Bailey in the finals.
The 95 was his brother, correct?
No. The heavyweight before the Juggernaut was Deshaun Williams.
Okay.
Everybody called him Tank. And his little brother comes on the team. He's Tank Williams Jr.
Oh,
So we call him because he's Tank Williams Jr.
So what's your ratio of coaching to figuring out nicknames, during the year?
No, we tell the middle school kids, keep talking. You'll say something stupid, and then we can nickname you. Call Mattingly Sue.
Oh, jeez. Thought you'd call him Don or something.
No, Sue.
What's your take here at the big guy's weight? Obviously, you have a guy there. I assume he was a 4. I'm not 100% on how this bracket looks. Was he? He was a what?
Yeah, we came out of 4.
Okay, but still not a bad draw. I know Powell. Hey, we wrestled Speedway, but he wasn't wrestling. But he looks like a big dude. Obviously going to be strong if he's pretty big. So, what's your guys' take on this weight?
I think when you look at this weight, there are your typical heavyweights, and then there's Samuels and Bailey. And so, when you go with your typical heavyweights, you go with big guys, you go into risk management, and who's going to make the least amount of mistakes, trying to get to positions they want to be in. And then you get to Samuels and Bailey. And the thing is, when you throw the athleticism that those two guys have at this weight, they can take more risk. And they're also, they do good wrestling things. But if somewhere across the line, somebody can catch them, because of the size, the show's over. And so, you go with Samuels and Bailey. Those guys have gone at it back and forth. If you haven't seen wrestle, watch them, because it's fun. And those guys are trying to score points and get after it. And you go through the rest of them, who's going to manage risk the best? And it stinks. And when you get to, this is my opinion, please don't hate me, officials, but you get to this tournament, and now all of a sudden officiating wants to start getting involved in stall calls and yucky things like that when you get into your typical heavyweight match. But this one is going to be, again, a big one for the team race as we go through. Can the Perry guys sneak through? Can the Cathedral guys sneak through? And those are guys that they don't have, impossible draws through any of this stuff. But I think heavyweight and what was the other one, 52 or 45, where you go, whoever does the best at 45 and 52 is probably going to be related to the team champion.
Yep, definitely. Howie, what's your take here?
There's just a lot of good, actually, heavyweights in this semi-state. Some big dudes, some big guys. They got Samuels coming out on top. Pals, he's another big guy. Taking it out. The Mingus Woolbright, a tough one to pick. It really is. Coach Shutley sitting next to me. That's a toss-up. If they can even get past their first-round matches. You know, Bailey, Roland's huge. He's a big guy. Wrestled a long time up the years. This is his first year. He's really had a full year under his belt. I mean, he could pull an upset, but I got Bailey winning it. Samuels.
Yeah, should be pretty fun weight. I mean, I know I've seen Samuels a couple times this year, and he's hard to wrestle. He's hard to prepare for because he weighs all about 205, 207, I think. And he could have easily gone 220, but should be interesting to see how he does. Dollins, I think, is a pretty big heavyweight too. I think he's all about 280. So you have those types of matches. Oops. Hold on. Going on. It's going to be, if Samuels makes a mistake and you have 280 pounds on you, it's not easy to get it off. Any parting shots? We'll start with Cameron. Any parting shots, team race, shout outs, anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Well, I would just say best of luck to both of the gentlemen that have been accompanying me tonight. Hope all your wrestlers do really well. Hope they're healthy and happy at the end of the day, Saturday. That's it.
Well, Howie, any comments, any thanks for rankings information?
No, I want to thank Coach P for helping me out on the names again. We'll do it again next year.
I hope so. We'll get you hooked on phonics, and maybe next week we'll be ready.
Oh, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to be a cop. So, like Cameron said, it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. So many good matches, tons of good ticket round matches. It's weekend, but good luck, Coach P. A lot of kids in there.
Yeah, Coach Shutley.
Make it out.
Is Coach Shutley still there?
He is.
Any words of wisdom from?
We don't know. Went to the bathroom. Oh, here he is. You got a.
Good luck, guys.
You don't have any words of wisdom?
Something.
Good luck, fellas. We'll see you Saturday. Good luck. We'll see you Saturday.
Short on words. With that, Coach P, what's your parting shots? Any shout outs to any of, obviously Coach Jeter is going to get a couple of shout outs here. We're going to see if we can get up to 15 mentions here.
I left practice today with I promised 5 mentions of Jeter before we got to the end, and I think I reached that at 160, so I've reached that quota. No, this is always good, Joe. We appreciate all that you do for the sport. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Wrestling is all of our jobs, and I know that you do a whole bunch and bust your fanny. And the sport is better, and we appreciate you for all that you do. I think, my thoughts going into the semi-state, and it's every semi-state I've ever been in. It's a fun time of year when you put a little bit of pressure on the line and season endings and dreams made. I know personally this year I'm looking forward to watching the team race. It's kind of neat to see what's going to happen with those types of points on the line. But it's this one is good for the sport, and I hope everybody tries to get everybody they can to come watch it. And we talk an awful lot about it afterwards because our sport's pretty special, and we can put in a venue and put some chips on the line and 2 guys competing and a bunch of programs getting after each other. It's good for kids. It's good for the sport. It's good for the state. And so these are my 2. All the daughters went to bed. I can say it again. It's the most wonderful time of the year. These 2 weeks to be able to compete. But I'm looking forward to go watching it.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I know I'm a fan just as much as you guys and everyone else, and it's hard when I'm you're coaching. You have a lot of kids out there, and I catch myself watching other matches. I'm hearing a roar from some other side. I mean, like at Team State, I I'd peek over when you hear roar. Obviously, you're 3 seconds late, for a big move or whatever. But it's hard to be. It's fun to be a coach, but it's also hard sometimes when you want to sit back and watch all these tick around matches and just kind of enjoy it. But that's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for being on here. I guess we'll have to put it on a vote. I think last year everyone likes Coach P, so we might have to get him back on next week for state. I'm sure he'll have some words of wisdom. Obviously you're not gonna.
Jeter if you want me to.
Oh, can we get Jeter?
We can get Jeter on.
Will he play his flute?
No. He can only play the pan flute in months that the days of the month that are prime, and their barometric pressure has to be over 30.54.
Oh wow. Wow, that's pretty specific.
He's a Trappist monk.
Wow. I'm kind of speechless here, but well, thank you guys. We'll be tomorrow night we have Fort Wayne, the best semi-state in my opinion. I'm sure some other people aren't probably going to agree with that, but tomorrow night Mike will be back. We gave Mike the night off, so someone just sent me a message about their preview, and it's going to have an interesting theme. So with that, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow night.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.